Hello, everyone. Good day. Welcome back to Let's Talk on Tuesday. I'm your host, Matara. Now, we are on episode 5, yay, titled The Price of Progress. So, this week we had major headlines on recalls, which really isn't anything new. There seems to be a recall every month. This time it was on lettuce, eggs, nut butters. We had children's products and vehicles. And honestly, I'm pretty much tired of hearing about these issues. I mean, it's 2026, so what's going on? At first glance, it does seem like things are getting worse. I'm always thinking, like, do they just not care anymore? Is there no care for quality control? I mean, these recalls affect people by the millions, and most are very serious. However, the more I thought about it, I thought, will this ever change? Because recalls don't just tell us something about the food, they also tell us about the manufacturing. They tell us something about technology. They're telling us something about global supply chains. And maybe more importantly, they tell us about how we manage risk. So today, I don't want to just focus on one single recall. I want to understand why we are seeing so many of them. And I think we'll discover that it has less to do with the food and more to do with, the world that we've built. So, with that being said, let's talk.
Did you see what happened in the markets today? No, but I heard something big is happening. It's not just the economy. Everything feels like it's changing. Wait, isn't that what they talk about on Tuesdays? Yeah, let's talk. On Tuesday.
All right, you guys. So the question this evening is, why does it seem like recalls are increasing? If you watch the news over the last few weeks, you've probably noticed a pattern. Another recall, investigation, and another company pulling products off the shelves. And this pattern may be true in some situations, or maybe it isn't. But before I jump to a conclusion, let's look at what has actually changed over the last 20 to 30 years. One of the biggest changes isn't necessarily the products. Yes, that has changed, but it's also how we inspect them. Years ago, quality control depended much more heavily on people. Workers stood beside a conveyor belt watching products pass by. They looked for damaged packaging, and those employees did an incredible job with the tools that they had. On another thought, it's very unfortunate because those very same workers who dedicated, 20 years at mastering that craft, they're slowly disappearing. So, thank you, free trade. But today, many of those first inspections are handled by technology. So it's high-speed cameras powered by artificial intelligence, which inspects thousands of products every minute. Or by the minute, excuse me. Now, they do measure the package dimensions, they verify labels, they detect damaged containers, they identify discoloration, and they compare every product against a digital standard. Now, unlike people, they don't get distracted, they don't blink, and they don't have a bad day. Now, I'm not saying robots replace quality control. We'll talk about that in a few minutes because the cameras only tell one side of the story. The laboratory has changed as well. Now, modern food testing, it has become remarkably sophisticated. Manufacturers, they still routinely test for bacteria such as Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria. They also test for allergens, chemical contaminants, environmental contamination. They even test for microscopic parasites. Now, scientists can now analyze the DNA of microorganisms and compare samples collected from different parts of the country. So, imagine someone becomes sick in Nevada, another person becomes sick in Ohio, and then a third person becomes sick in Florida. Years ago, those same cases may have never been connected. Today, scientists can often determine whether those illnesses came from the exact same source. That is a remarkable advancement. Manufacturing has become far more connected. So every ingredient is documented, every shipment is recorded, every production batch is tracked, and every pallet can be traced. If contamination is discovered, companies often know exactly when the product was made, which production line produced it, which supplier provided the ingredients, and which distribution center received it. And also, in many cases, which stores it was delivered to. That's actually really great, because years ago, tracing a contaminated product might have taken weeks. And now there's another important change that's taking place. Our supply chains have become much larger. So one processing facility may produce food for dozens of different brands. And one supplier may serve customers across multiple states. That creates tremendous efficiency, but it also means that if something goes wrong, the impact can be much larger, hence to what you are seeing in this week's headlines. Now, a contamination event that might have affected one or two towns decades ago could now affect multiple states. So, where does all of this leave us? I'll say it's awareness. The world is becoming more connected, more automated, more intelligent, and more transparent. That means we're going to hear more about these problems much faster than previous generations did. Sometimes that's uncomfortable, but sometimes that's exactly what keeps us safe. Now, here's something I like to encourage all of us to do. Don't just read the headline, read the reason for the recall. Was it bacteria? Was it an undeclared allergen? Was it packaging? Was it a manufacturing defect? Understanding why something happened teaches us more than simply knowing that it happened. And second, take a few minutes every now and then to look around your home. Check expiration dates, register major appliances and vehicles so you'll receive the recall notifications, as well as take advantage of the manufacturer warranty. If you have children, take a look at the toys, car seats and nursery products to see whether any safety recalls have been issued. It only takes a few minutes, and those few minutes could save a life. Now, finally, remember this: progress isn't free. Every improvement asks us to exchange something. Our responsibility is to understand the exchange, because when you understand the trade-off, you make a better consumer, an investor, a business owner, or simply just a better citizen. So, I'd like to thank you, for spending a part of your evening with me. Again, I'm Matara. This is, Let's Talk on Tuesday. And, until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and remember, the more you understand how the system works, the better prepared you will be to navigate it.
What if the next opportunity isn't something you buy? What if it's something you understand before everyone else? Technology is changing nearly every industry, including how communities connect, businesses engage, and digital ecosystems create value. Tripto is building a utility-driven platform designed around participation rewards and real-world engagement.
Curious?
Click the link in this episode description and decide for yourself.